Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. For today, we have on the show, what can I say? The incredible, the amazing. She's back. The awesome, the legendary, the super, I just can't. I will just go all night here. But, Jamie, how are you today?
Hey, I'm great. I'm a brunette now. I'm no longer blonde like I was last time.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Same me though.
Yeah. Both ways you look amazing, let's be honest.
Dan, you hyped me up too much. You're too kind. You're too kind. But keep blowing smoke up my ass. I'll take it any day.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Now I do want to thank those who are tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. If you're listening to this on, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or if you're looking on YouTube, thank you so much. Now in the description below, you're gonna find all of Jamie's social media. As I said on the first video I had with her, let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Jamie. And if you want to find out why she's a total badass, go check that video and then come back here. And without further more, let's jump in. So for this, it's total different episode here, right? On the first one, we discover how badass you are. That's clear now. But for this one, we're gonna be basically chatting about how the whole entertainment acting industry will be in the next 10 years, right? Now, that being said, I will be starting with the first question, which is, with the rise of streaming platforms and on-demand content, how do you foresee the traditional cinema over the next 10 years?
Mhm. Well, as far as I can see and how everything's been, movie attendance has had a significant decline over the last 10 years since 2013 when Netflix dropped House of Cards, and it was the first streaming television show that had no commercials, and the whole season came out all at once. And really ever since then, we've seen all these other streaming platforms pop up, and now they're creating their own content as well. And you know you have Netflix going to bat with Warner Brothers for stuff, and it's just an interesting. There's a lot more competition, so much content that's coming out. I think, I have a feeling that it could keep going down for a little while. We're gonna see like emptier movie theaters, I think. However, trends fade in and out. And I almost think of the record player and people getting vinyls again.
Mhm.
And people thought that was sort of dead. But I think maybe give it another 10 years and you're going to have people wanting to go see movies on the big screen. People or movies on that level that are, have $200 million budgets were meant to be seen on a 40-foot screen, not just on your 15-inch laptop. So I hope that people will start going to the movie theaters, whether it's with their families, a date, whatever, just make it more of a social experience like it used to be. Because I grew up going to the movies every Friday with my mom. We'd see
Mhm.
whatever was coming out, and it
Yep.
was just part of our routine. So hopefully we can get people back in the theaters.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole experience to it, right? The whole experience when you go to see a film. I remember when I saw Oppenheimer on IMAX, it was the
Yeah.
most mind-blowing experience ever. I was like, this is cool. That if I watch it on my home, on streaming, yeah, it would be cool, but it wouldn't be the same. So I'm pretty sure that at least for the experience, people will be still going to the cinemas, right? So
Yeah. We can only hope. We can only hope. I
yeah.
love seeing movies on the big screen. I love walking in and smelling popcorn and getting a
Yeah.
soda.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
the
best.
best. It's the best
I
thing.
go my mom also always says I go to the I go to she goes to the movies for the popcorn,
Yeah.
extra butter, lots of
Yeah.
salt.
For example, if I go to the cinema, I have to have my popcorn, yes or yes.
Yeah,
If I don't have
exactly.
it,
That's my thing.
the film tastes different. I'm uncomfortable. I'm like, there's something missing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I totally agree.
yeah, yeah. Now, how do you think advancements in technology, like deepfake AI and virtual reality, will influence the acting profession?
I think AI is here, and I think it's here to stay, and we are going to have to learn to live with it as a society. I feel like I have to be almost careful with my words talking about this stuff, especially as an actor. And we just had this whole, back
Mm-hmm.
and forth, and we had the WGA and SAG strike back to back. And AI was a huge topic for both of those negotiations. We just got the contract for the SAG one, and it's already starting to get a little bit of criticism, at least from the actors that I know. So it's really interesting. I think as a society, as a collective, not just as
Yeah.
actors or
Hmm.
artists, we have to really be cautious with AI, specifically when it comes to politics, because I mean, they're making deep fakes and stuff of Barack Obama giving
Hmm.
speeches. And you put that in the wrong hands. You have one country wanting to go to war and just looking for an excuse, and they could use the president and having them say, I hate this country, and then, hey, we're
Hmm.
going to war. So I think just as that, we have to be really, really careful. Um, as far as it will influence the acting profession, we've already seen AI with Paul Walker in Fast and Furious, and Carrie Fisher in Star Wars. These were actors, both of them passed away while they were filming the project. I feel with those, and I think maybe there isn't, if productions want to include that in the contract when the performer initially signs on to the project, if for whatever act of God reason that I die on production, I have a heart attack or I get hit by a train or whatever, like if I pass away during production and the production wants to obviously keep, they're halfway through and they need to keep making the movie. Sure, if I agree to it, if I've consented to, yes, if I die, use my image, create my character, but I don't want my image, voice, face used on a project that I didn't consent to.
Yeah.
Um, ever, if I do pass away and then 10 years down the line, a production wants to use my image in a movie that I'm playing some horrible character, like I don't want that,
Hmm.
and I didn't consent to it either. So there's a gray area with all of it, but who knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I do think that with the whole using deepfake for politics. I mean, right now they're using it mainly for memes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
who can
Hopefully we
tell?
keep it with good intentions.
Yeah, but who can
I'm
tell
I'm
that
fine with it being used without malice, you know.
exactly? That's the thing that worries
Yeah.
me too. That at some point someone gets the idea to make I don't know, like a political speech with a deepfake AI using the voice or any politician at the moment, who is in office and can
Mhm.
cause really, we have seen that sometimes people believe more what they see on their phones than what they actually is happening and happening out there. So I do think that
Literally.
that is, yeah, that is something dangerous that people should be considering. That if you hear a news, double check, make sure that it's true, check with different sources, do a little bit digging here and there, and then yeah, problem solved. Instead of because you saw it on TikTok or on YouTube or something like that, be like, no, it's happening already. No, just
Yeah. Yep.
searching that, and yeah, with the whole actors, I do think that, yeah, I do think that at some point people are gonna be preferring the human touch. So
I don't think that will ever go away.
yeah, here's why. Because if you find, I mean, let's say, right, that one day we have this incredible story written by an AI, and it's an incredible one. And sure, it gets to be an incredible film. But I do
Mhm.
think that the beauty of it is when you can relate somehow to the story. When you find out who wrote the story and be like, oh, I can totally relate to that. It's a human, so I can find similarities here and there. With an AI, you can't, and that is something that we humans we want, right? To find like that kind of a sentiment, right? That kind of a feeling, that connection that no AI will be ever be able to replicate that. So I'm sure that yes, perhaps at some point we'll have like this peak of films projects made by an AI, but I'm super sure that then it's gonna go fall again because the people will be
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's cool, it is super great, but I want the human side, I want those mistakes that sometimes happen that they're fun, that that's what make it cool. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and to just tack onto that as well, I think AI could end up being its own genre.
mm-hmm.
It could end up being its own genre. I say that, could, if it gets to that point too.
Yeah.
I I do, my heart goes out to writers at the moment because I think it's a little bit easier for AI to take their jobs, per se,
Mm-hmm.
than an actor at this point because it is still very, yeah, they were able to make Carrie Fisher and Paul Walker in those films, but it cost a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to be able to do that. And like maybe, yes, it will get cheaper over time, but again, I still, you can still tell it's not perfect.
Totally.
And even if it's really, really good, even if some of the CGI is really, 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 really good, as an example, you can still sometimes tell. And it can take you out of it,
Yeah.
it can really, really take you out of it.
Yeah. It's not the same as I mentioned. I mean, no matter how perfect and amazing it looks, you could
Yeah.
totally tell that
I love the
there's
change.
something missing there, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with many actors transitioning to roles behind the camera, such as directors, producers, do you see this trend intensifying in the near future?
Yeah, absolutely. I think gone are the days of just an actor only being an actor or only being a director. I think all art is getting is all filmmaking is a creative and collaborative process. I myself have dabbled now in the production realm. It's really, really fun. I
Yeah.
like solving problems from point A to point B. It's really, really fun. And I have really, really creative friends that are great with the writing and directing, but I would rather produce it and go from like point A to point B. Um, so I think it's great that we're moving away from only can be an actor, you can only be a director, you can only be a producer. Cross it over. Why
Mm-hmm.
not? It's only going to make you better, and you'll understand those elements of part of the production too. I mean, Tom Cruise always coming up in our chat stand.
I know. I
He's
know.
been producing his movies for years because he's so crazy and no one wants to pay for him.
Right?
And now we have Margot Robbie's producing, and Reese Witherspoon is producing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if a story is good, tell it.
Yeah. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Do you anticipate a shift in the type of stories or narratives that will be popular or prioritized in the next decade?
Oh, yeah, of course. The world is constantly, constantly changing.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think I mean, selfishly, I kind of hope we're nearing the end of the whole superhero movie era because it's been 15 years and I'm a little tired and I want to see something different.
Totally.
I
Yeah.
mean, right before that, it was like the occult movies. We had vampires and werewolves, and that was the trend. And then superhero movies just completely took over the zeitgeist. um, I don't know what the next trend would be, but I also hope we move away from reboots and remakes.
Yes. Oh, thank God. Yes.
I am so done.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're
Mm-hmm.
all just
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah, I can't stand them
Um,
anymore. Mm-mm.
I'm saying it right now. I am very actively, vehemently opposed to the Harry Potter reboot, and I work at Universal Studios in the Harry Potter world as a wand keeper, and I am vehemently opposed to the new Harry Potter reboot. 10 seasons of the exact same books that we just had.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm hoping, praying that the types of stories and narratives that we do end up seeing in the next decade will be original stories, and that production companies will be willing to front the money and get back to like the $10 million movie, and that's like new and fresh. You can make a great movie for
Mm-hmm.
$10 million. You don't need a $200 million budget to make a good movie. And in fact, some of those movies with insane budgets like that, the stories suck now. They're the same thing over and over again. Like, get some fresh ideas and get some new writers, some new creatives. And I'm just, I'm so, I'm ready for executives to start making risks rather than just hoping to get an easy return on their investment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. With the superhero stuff, I mean, they should have, for example, they release Avengers Endgame, amazing, cool. Be like, you know what, guys, we'll see you in a couple of years. That was it. Enjoy it. Problem solved. And then people will be excited at some point, be like, hey, where are the superhero films now? We want some back. But you know,
Yeah.
with the problem, yeah, I do agree that I mean, they release Endgame, and then out of nowhere, we were having like what, like 10, 15 films per year, boom, 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 constant. And yeah,
Yeah.
it gets to a point
Exhausting.
in which I was seeing that even people are tired. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, because it's like, we want something new. And with the
Yeah.
whole remakes, yes, I do hope that they can do something else. I mean, or for example, if you want to use the franchise, fine, use it, but on the
Mhm.
universe to it. You know what I mean? You can expand the universe and create a different story in the same universe as we saw.
Yeah.
And we will be like, oh, that's pretty cool. For example, if they will release something in the Harry Potter world, something that
Mhm.
every now and then you will see a cameo and be like, oh, that's awesome. But to
Yeah.
be like, no, we're gonna do a total remake on that, and then a remake on this, and then a remake on that. It's like, for example, do you remember back then, like back in the day when we were in the prequel trend,
Oh,
that
yeah.
suddenly there were prequels everywhere. Some of them were
Yeah.
good, some of them were horrible, and now we're in the remake trend, which I do hope that it's over and we can get the opportunity to something fresh. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And like I was even talking about this with my best friend who's here with me in Brazil. Because I'm in Brazil filming a movie I'm very excited about.
That's badass.
We were just talking about this today too, like if you're gonna do Harry Potter, do yeah, maybe a prequel, but like expand the universe, don't do the same thing
Yeah, it's
with
like
different
for
groups. It's
yeah,
so uh
it's like, for example, what they did with Star Wars, and they released the Mandalorian. People loved it because it was a total different new story in the same universe,
exactly.
yes, but it has nothing to do with any of the characters you saw before. And
Right.
it was something fresh. Yes, you will see like a cameo here and there, and it was cool. But I think that like
Mhm.
the success to it was that it was something fresh that people were not expecting. So I think that was kind of the cue for everyone to be like, this is how you're supposed to do stuff now. Bring something new. You want to use the same universe, sure, use it. But you know
Mhm.
you if it is a universe, you can expand it, super super big. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you all the way.
There you go. Now, how do you think the role of film festivals will evolve, given the increasing accessibility of digital platforms for showcasing new talent?
Hmm. I'm not I'm not really sure. What do you think?
Well, I do think that they are gonna keep doing them. I mean,
Yeah.
that's obvious. And I think it would be cool if they get the chance for more people outside. They can get the chance to it. For example, me on this platform. I mean, if they
Mm.
release somehow, I mean, even if you have to pay a little bit out, that would be fine. But if you get the chance to be like on a film festival, so you can discover new stuff here and there. I mean, I would appreciate that, because of the whole chat with Dan stuff. And I think people in general would appreciate that too. The fact that you could, like, no matter where you are in the world, you can get the chance to be in a film festival, discover new talent, discover new films, indie stuff that sometimes we just don't know about them. And when you discover them, they tend to be
Yeah.
pretty cool, to be honest. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved it was only recently that I started endeavoring into the film festival world, and I'm still learning so much about it, but it's so nice that um this is a way for unknown
Yeah.
unknown filmmakers to get their work out and even get it to a point where it's like a bidding war. Um it is still one of those things where it does take time to for people to get to know you and trust you. And sometimes you do have to attach a big name to a project to get any sort of attention on it. But it would be so great that if a good project gets in there, and even if no one knows any of the actors in it, it still could have a chance to have a theatrical release at some point. So, yeah, I mean, I love film festivals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And with the mental
Yeah.
health becoming like a prominent discussion, do you see the industry adopting practices or policies even to support actors and crews into the whole well-being more effectively?
I mean, I would love to start seeing that on bigger productions that definitely can afford it. Providing an on-set counselor or a therapist or whatever would be an amazing tool for actors or crew, to deal with the heavy subject matter, if it's especially if it's a really, really heavy film or TV show, and just have someone there to, feel safe to talk about the content, about what's going on. You know, even if something's wrong within the, more than just an HR, if, oh, I have a complaint, someone's not making me feel uncomfortable on set or whatever, that they can talk through it with a counselor or something, or whatever the situation is. But yeah, I would love to start seeing that, especially on productions that can afford it. That being said, if it's smaller indie production, maybe, maybe not, but it
Yeah.
would be great to see it on bigger shows.
Yeah. I do think that the
Yeah.
whole Yeah, I do think that, but the pandemic was like the breaking point of showing that there's actually a mental health problem around, that perhaps
Yeah.
nobody wanted to kind of put it into the table for discussion, but due to the whole thing that happened, that was forced to, show people that it is something that has been over years. I mean, it's not something that became trend. No, it's something that has been for years and years. And I do think it's good that now that type of things are now in the conversation, and they're now putting attention into the whole mindset. I mean, the other day I was having this conversation with my family. I was telling them that I don't want a job that, for example, let's say they pay me a crazy amount of money, but if I feel miserable, I don't want it, because I'm not gonna be. It's like no money will buy me something to be like, oh, okay, you know, it's okay. I can I can suffer from Monday to Friday and live for the weekend. No, that's horrible. So
Yeah.
it's good now that at least that they're like paying more attention to it. Which, of course, there's a lot of things that needs to be discussed, but at least we are like in a starting point, maybe. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. We're
maybe.
definitely at a starting point. And it's so important. Maybe it's just our generational thing
Yeah.
that we are very encouraging of, especially people in our age group, to pursue the things you love, because at the end of the day, the most valuable currency or an asset that you have is time. It's something we all have, but it's a finite amount, and we don't know how much we have of it. And so where do you end up spending it? Do you spend it at a job 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, that you absolutely hate and you want to, wring your neck? Or maybe that does satisfy you and you do want to live for the weekend. Like what situation will fill your cup the most?
Mm.
And if it's more freelance and gig work, do it. Do it. You know, I know we all have to pay bills and stuff, but I I'm with you, where I would rather spend my time pursuing something, living paycheck to paycheck, but I love it,
Mm-hmm.
versus having all the money in the world and being totally miserable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. I
Because
mean,
your
yeah.
passion really will be your paycheck at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, and I mean, you need to be put you first. You know what I mean? Like no
Always.
job, no nothing. I mean, first you. It's always you. Make sure that you feel good. And if something, and if you're in a job, or yeah, if you're in a job that you hate, just quit. Find something. That's like the whole beauty of it. That once you realize there are millions of jobs out there,
Million.
you can get the chance to try something new. I have a friend of mine that he worked in the whole corpo stuff all his life, and
Mm.
then he almost had a heart attack, due to stress, and he ended up quitting to it. He quit his job, he quit everything, and he sold everything, and he moved near a beach, and he has his own small business that he rents scuba gear, for scuba diving,
Yeah.
things like that. And if you see him, he's like the happiest guy alive. Yeah, he doesn't live in this huge mansion, but he's like, dude, I'm just happy with what I do. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't have. Yeah, of course, I have a small amount of stress here and there, but it's not the same. It's incredible to just wake up and be like, I'm just gonna do what I love the most, and here I am. So yeah.
Wow. Good for him.
Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear. And I agree. I mean, I I I was reading this great book called The 4 Hour Work Week, which is very similar to that too, figuring out what do I really want to do? How much do I actually have to work in order to
Yeah.
pay for what I want to do and get to do those things that I want to do? Because people wait until they're 60 and retired, and then their body can't even take going on a scuba diving trip or going skiing or whatever is that they really wanted to do when they were young, that they felt like they couldn't because they had to wait until they
Yeah.
retired. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, but
life
it
is
also depends on what you want. Do you really want the house? Do you really want a giant house? And then maybe you do have to save. But it's about doing what makes you happy.
yeah. I mean, at the end, that's the whole beauty about life. There is room for everything and everyone, right? So
Yeah,
pursue what
I
makes you
agree.
happy. That's it. I love it.
I agree.
Now,
Mhm.
how do you feel about the rise of short form content? Like what we see on TikTok or YouTube, Instagram too sometimes. Do you think that this will influence the type of content produced or the length for films and TV shows?
Well, I have been watching YouTube since 2005. Like, I've always loved it. I love YouTube. I think it's one of the best um, online platforms that's ever been created. I've always been an avid YouTube viewer because I love the like user generated content part of YouTube. I was on TikTok for about 2 years and I had to delete it because it was just far too addicting. And that doesn't mean I didn't love the content. Like I loved the content. It was too perfectly curated.
Yeah, it was too
Um,
much. I get it. I get it. It was too
yeah,
much.
no, and I mean, like, not to, and again, there's nothing wrong with like, I learned recipes, like, I learned a lot of really cool stuff through TikTok. The content is really, really good, and it is user generated, which is awesome. Um, I think, and as much as and I do love them, I think that they will stay their own platforms. One is horizontal, one is vertical, but they'll stay their own platforms because anything that's sort of a series that would resemble anything close to a TV show is still going to be considered a web series on any one of
Mhm.
those platforms. I can't see myself personally watching a 45-minute episode vertically on my phone. That's my cat.
Yeah.
But I just really couldn't see myself doing that. Um I also don't know if it would ever get to that point where they're funded like a Hulu, like a show on Hulu
hmm
or Netflix or whatever. So
Yeah.
money definitely comes into play about that. Um, but I mean, that being said, like I watch more cooking shows on YouTube than I do the Food Network, and that's like, produced on for cable. Um, I do love the independence part of the independent production quality of YouTube and TikTok. And there definitely are less regulations on those platforms
Yeah.
than you even see on like TV shows. Like there's certain words you just can't say on TV that you could on both of those apps. So I think they'll stay the same. I think it'll kind of remain their own platforms. I'm sure YouTube and TikTok are going to eventually have their own competitors at some point.
Absolutely.
But you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Now, as global politics and social issues become, more intertwined with the whole entertainment industry, do you see actors taking on more activist roles in the future?
Yes, I think actors, whether we want to admit it or not, are always political
Mm-hmm.
because we are artists. Um, we make statements with our art, whether we want to or intend to, because art is subjective. Actors have been taking on activist roles for the last couple decades. I can think of Pamela Anderson being vegan and,
Yeah.
the campaign she did where she had all the parts of her body highlighted, like you would see on a pig chart. Um, because really, if you get to a point where you have millions of followers and eyeballs on you. You have followers and you have an audience watching you. That's power, that's influence. And sometimes it's even more powerful than, say, an actual politician.
Mm-hmm.
So, with an audience, I think, yeah, actors and actors will definitely could, if they wanted to, take on activism roles. Um, because it's all the same. If you create an audience, people will watch and you can voice those opinions, get people to look at certain issues that they wouldn't normally look at.
Okay. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah.
What do
Okay.
you think?
I see that happening, but also at the same time, I see people. I see yeah, like actors, influencers being a little bit more careful due to the whole cancel culture.
Mm,
You
yes.
know, like being
Yes.
like yeah. I mean, I do see some of them that will go that route, but I also
Mhm.
see some of them be like, you know what? No, that's not,
Yeah.
to be like that's something different. That's I mean, for example, art. I mean, acting is my art, and I will just leave it like that. Outside to that, to in order to avoid something that could go misinterpreted. Like something like that. It could get me into the whole canceling stuff. So I will see
Sure.
that. I see that. I see like both happening here and there. So
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up the cancel culture thing too, because I feel like maybe we've gotten a little out of hand with who we're canceling these days and over what we're canceling them over. I mean,
yeah.
there are some people that do some really awful stuff, but I think we've also now overused it to a point where like being canceled doesn't really mean anything anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because even if someone doesn't like what someone's doing and they voice it and get some people to rally and be like, well, I don't like what they're doing either, and I agree, and like, let's cancel them. There's probably still going to be people that watch it, that watch what they do, that you can't control. It's interesting though. It's interesting though. It's a really weird situation, but I do get what you're saying, because sometimes even I find myself just not wanting to take a stand on politics or certain activism things that I'm not informed on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird to be like, oh, yeah, so something's going on. And Zendaya, we need you to comment on what's going on. And you need to have an opinion about what's going on, when she didn't want to voice an opinion or is educated enough to voice an opinion about it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yeah. I feel like we all just everyone has so many opinions these days, and now we all have a platform to put it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's.
That like maybe we can just like not have an opinion on every single topic, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we don't
Mm-hmm.
need to. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just don't need to have an opinion on something. You can just let it be and
Yeah.
move on and
Yeah.
move on with your life.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you don't have to be an expert on everything. You know.
No, and you shouldn't be. You're a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to keep
Totally.
some tabs closed in your brain so you can the tabs that you do keep open are actual things that you do care about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you're gonna say something on something, think twice.
Know what
You
you're
know,
talking about.
yeah. That's what I do now. If I want to say something or comment on something, I'll be like, do I really want to? Or as you mentioned, am I really educated enough so I can say something that actually makes sense and not to sound, you know,
Hmm.
ridiculous, something like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you do have a good point. You do have a good point about people wanting to keep their cards close to their chest out of fear of being canceled.
Yeah. Yeah, which is interesting because the other day I was seeing that there are some influencers that they have made their career due to the whole cancel culture,
Yeah.
to which is kind of
Hey,
interesting. So I'm like, huh,
any publicity is good publicity, right?
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Now, how do you think the role of importance of critics and film will change in the digital area in which basically everyone can now be a reviewer?
Hmm. Well, I've never really cared for the term critic, film critic,
Yeah.
you know. I think people who are critics of whatever just again are people with too many opinions that sometimes you don't need to share them. It's just
Hmm.
weird. Like, what a weird job to have, to say I'm a film critic, like I'm the expert of film. Guess what? It's an art form. It's subjective. Yeah, you can say, sure, like the quality of the filmmaking might not be good, but again, like what you don't like or do like, someone else might like.
Hmm.
So it's I again back to what we were saying about everybody having an opinion and having a platform to share their opinion. We might get we might get to a point where we're only listening to the collective or peers that are in our circle. Also, algorithms on some of these social media platforms are insane because
Yeah.
they will literally feed you only what you like,
Hmm.
and you're only going to see things that affirm what you believe in.
Hmm.
That's it. You're not going to see any contradicting things anymore. So, yeah, we might see the public taking the reins and sharing all their opinions and reviewing Barbie, let's say Barbie. Um, but at the end of the day, like people like what they like and are going to see it or not. I don't think a critic's review of Barbie is going to stop people from going to seeing it
Totally.
or encourage them to see it.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's always going to be word of mouth, getting back to the movie and being like, oh, you should go see, I don't even know what's you should go see the new Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the new Hunger Games movie or whatever, and then you'll be encouraged to see it.
Hmm.
I've never sought advice from a film critic about anything.
Yeah, no, me neither. No, I don't tend to listen to those critics, and in general, critics I don't tend to because everyone everyone has an agenda to it.
Always,
You know.
most of the time, film critics are being paid to say what they say
Hmm.
to promote
Hmm.
a movie.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
what I do instead is I watch a film, and then I will watch. I don't know, like for example, there are some videos on YouTube in which they will go like a deep analysis on the film, on something
yeah,
that you might didn't understand, and be like, oh, okay, I get that. That's cool. But like to see a reviewer and be like, no, don't watch this film because it's crap. Be like, okay, but when I see that, I tend to even want to see it more. Be like, I want to
yeah,
see what the fuss is about now. I want to find out if it is actually like that or not. And yeah, I mean,
yeah,
art is, everyone has a different. I think that's also kind of the cool thing about it, right? That everyone can get like their own meaning to it. Perhaps for someone was, yeah, I don't know, like film was a very meaningful and deep one, and perhaps for
mhm,
other was just a meh, you know. But I
yeah,
think that's a cool thing about it, that it's free. There is no rule that you need to love this, yes or yes, right? So I think that's a cool thing.
exactly. Like I'm even thinking back to even Oscar nominated movies in the last 20 years.
Hmm.
They all seem to have like the same exact feeling of beautifully well done quality movies that are boring as fuck because they're so well done and so beautiful, but where is the entertainment value?
Hmm.
um Objectively, perfectly acted, perfectly designed, perfectly gorgeously artistically done, but can be boring. And the last time I checked, movies are a form of entertainment too.
Hmm.
Sure, I love it. I love a and I do have a lot of respect for those movies, of course, but I still want to be entertained.
Totally.
I still want to be entertained at the end of the day. Um, so maybe, yeah, maybe we'll go back to hopefully we go back to or can get back to sort of fun and original movies. And, you know, feels like we haven't had like a blockbuster, because
Yeah.
we haven't been going to the movies.
Yeah, that's
Back to your
true.
first question, we got to get back to the movies.
Yeah, that's
Give me
true.
give me some good popcorn movies.
It's interesting because usually on the Oscars, it's when I see films that I have never seen and be like, wait, what? There's some films that I did saw, which is cool, but sometimes it will be putting these films, and I'm like, where did that even came from? Or like, what do you mean that this? You know what I mean? So yeah, I do understand that sometimes, yeah, that it's the way they put films to that show. I don't know, like their format on how to. But there are so many cool stuff out there, and
Mhm.
as you mentioned, it's all about being entertained. That's it.
Mhm.
I just
Yeah,
think that we sometimes forget that thing. That it's just entertainment, enjoy, have fun.
yeah.
You know.
And that's why we go to the movies. The the two that I can think about off the top of my head were um Parasite and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Mm-hmm.
Two incredibly brilliant, well done, meaty, artistic, and entertaining movies. And that's why they deserve the Oscars
Totally.
that they won. They were incredible movies, incredible movies. And I hope more stuff like that will get made and funded, and that'll be just exciting. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
I'm
Now,
really excited for what's to come, I don't want to be I'm optimistic always about what's to come in the future. And
yeah.
with the strike ending, I'm watching. It's so funny though, because I'm watching True Blood right now, rewatching True Blood,
Okay.
which was an HBO show that came out in 2008. It's all about vampires and occults, and it's really fun, really campy, amazing acting, amazing writing. I know why it was a hit for 6 seasons. And it came after the writers and actors strike of 2007.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really hoping that come this next cycle that we are entering, as an industry, we'll start focusing more on quality rather than quantity. That's my hope.
Yeah, I
That's my
do.
hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I do hope that. I'm also a little bit optimistic to it,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm a little bit worried. I'm not gonna lie.
Talk to
So,
me about that.
about the whole, like as we were talking before, like the whole remake stuff and everything. I'm so done with it. And I just don't. I'm hoping that they just stop doing remakes on stuff that I did watch back then. I understand somehow that, yeah, it's a business and they want to make a profit to it and they want to try to jump the new generations to it. That's okay, but you can show the old stuff. Like for example, Back to the Future, right? It's a film from the
Mhm.
80s. It's an incredible film. It's basically, yeah, a cult right now. You need to watch it, yes or yes. And they haven't made a remake. Why? Because it's an incredible film. There's no reason to make a remake. People love it. And even though that it's old and yeah, perhaps it doesn't have like the most badass sci-fi or CGI stuff, sure. But it's a cool film. And I do think that those type of films, they show you that you don't have to make a remake to it. Just leave the original one so people can enjoy, and that's it. So that is one thing that I do hope that they at least stop to it. And the second thing that I'm kind of a little bit pissed to it is when they release a film and they put politics to it. You know that they put
Yeah.
like a politic agenda to it. I'm like, why? You know
Yeah.
that's like one of the things that I just hope that at some point that stop, and we focus instead on entertainment, on a really good story instead of
Hmm.
delivering us a good story somehow, yes, but you can totally see the agenda behind to it. I'm like, come on, again, you know what I mean? So that is what I'm like. I'm optimistic that people will be like, yes, let's do something totally new now and focus on new stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but what if they don't? So, you know,
Yeah. All all valid concerns. Death to the reboots. Death to the remakes.
I know, right? I mean, when they released, no, yeah, no, no,
That'll
it's
be the
horrible.
title for the episode.
Oh, I was gonna ask you that one.
Death to the reboot.
Dead to the reboots and remakes.
Death to the reboots and remakes.
All right, I like it. That's a cool title.
I mean, yeah, I hope no one's offended.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I don't think so. And
I'm,
if
I I saw the new Mean Girls trailer for the
wait, they're
Mean
gonna
Girls.
release a new Mean Girls?
So it's gonna be a musical.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be based on the Broadway musical,
Mm-hmm.
but it's weird because it's like Tina Fey is also in it, and she was in the original. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. I love her, but fine. Okay. And I love Renee Rapp, who's playing Regina George.
Mm-hmm.
She's very, very talented. But it's weird to me that in the new trailer, at least the trailer that I saw, they didn't market it as a musical, but it is the musical. And I don't know if that's because they're trying to draw the audience before they're like, hey, it's a musical actually of Mean Girls or what. But I just think it's still too early to redo Mean Girls. Mean Girls came out only 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Like, why are we just doing it to cash grab? Oh,
That's the thing. That's the thing. Or for example, when they released,
it's the same audience that watched it originally.
right? I mean, when they released a couple of years ago, the did you ever watch Matilda, like the original one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that was
They did
to
they did the Matilda musical, didn't they, just recently?
yeah, they did that and I watched it because I was like, okay, let's see. And I ended up being like,
Wasn't it?
no, not I mean, perhaps the people like it, that's fine. But at
Hmm.
least to me, I was like, you know what? No, no, this is
Yeah.
not to me. And I ended up switching to something else. But yeah,
Yeah.
I do hope. I mean, I can
Willy Wonka movie coming out, Timothy
right. I
Chalamet.
mean, that
Like,
that's like the thing that I'm saying here. I mean, I'm getting a little bit sick to it that these corporations, instead of focusing on quality, as we were mentioning, like real good quality, real old school epic quality, that if they focus on that, they will really be creating a like a solid fan base to it. But instead of that, they just prefer to get a quick buck to it and release everything they got like super quick. And they ended up making millions, sure, but what's the point of it? So
we need new IP. That's what we need.
yeah,
New intellectual property that's out there that people will invest in or take the risk. You know,
sure,
these are multi-million dollar companies. What's the harm in funding a $10 million movie? And at the end of the day, okay, maybe you lose if it doesn't perform well, maybe you lose 10 million, but most likely if it's a really good script that you want to take the risk on, I think you could make a new fan base. And then guess what? Then you can get to sell your merchandise. Like back in the day, they used to like have merch for stuff, and now it's just the same things.
mm-hmm.
Star Wars and Marvel and just think of
Yeah,
something new, please.
yeah, and they're charging you more and more. Like every year they're like, oh, we're gonna keep rising our prices, and now the fee is gonna be even
Right.
more and more. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
We'll see.
we'll see. I mean, at the end, what can I say? It's always epic and badass to have you back here. I mean, what an epic chat we have. I also want to thank those who stayed here. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, as I said at the beginning, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, but most important, go follow Jamie like right now. I mean, this episode is about to be over, so go follow her, share some love, because I mean, we know why she's a total badass, legendary superstar, incredible. And Jamie, again, thank you so much for making this happen. Keep killing it out there, keep rocking, keep shining, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you so much for listening.